I'm Kelly Mitchell, and this is Agent Caffeine, fuel for the real estate industry. The mission to make real estate a better place for consumers and those working inside and outside the vertical by unleashing key business secrets from technology and real estate experts on the show. Today, I'm really excited to have Jon Cheplak on the show. He is a pattern interrupter, and such a pattern interrupter that he wrote a book called Interrupt the Pattern. He's an international coach, speaker, and consultant. I've had the pleasure of seeing Jon speak, and I have to say is one of the most thought-provoking, meticulous people in getting his message across that exists in the real estate space. And when I say getting his message across, it's the message that you need to hear. So he's the CEO and creator of a human resources management and recruiting software program, The Real Recruiter. It's just a joy, not just, it is such a joy and pleasure to have him on the show. I would love to welcome Jon Cheplak to Agent Caffeine. Jon, how are you? And
here I am. I'm amazing. So honored to be here with you.
It is so fabulous to have you here. And as I said in the intro, you bring so much good energy and messages that people need to hear. And I'd love to hear from your perspective how these messages come through to you, because they're so thought-provoking and they really make people pause for a moment and look inward. And that is powerful stuff.
Well, I think that it's all rooted in looking at our industry and an understanding that I gained from my mentor that we are not in the real estate business. And prior to meeting him in my career, it was do the numbers and do the grind. And he sat down with me and said, welcome to our company. As I moved into an executive role and he had recruited me over there, he said, you are no longer in the real estate business. You're in the human resource, human attraction, human behavior, human development business. And from that point forward, I went on a journey to really study human behavior, outside of the industry, but really it's inside the business. It's what we deal with every single day, are human beings. And so I am a feverish reader and seeker. I have numerous coaches that guide me in this space. And so I would have to say that it is a combination of my desire to gain more knowledge and grow as a human being. And then also, it's my purpose to share that with other folks. And here we are. And some of it appears. It just appears.
It's like it's magic. It's a fabulous thing to watch and to absorb. Today we're talking about the broken brokerage.
Yes.
And I think this is such a fun topic for me because we've got brokerages across the nation, some that are evolving and evolving quickly, and others that are still stuck in 1972. And it feels like an obligation. And I know that you have this internally as well. It feels like we have this obligation to help people along and to help them, kind of get it right. Mm-hmm. But the dichotomy is there's this mobile consumer that is evolving at an exponential rate in transformation. And we're struggling not to keep the pace because that's impossible, but to keep up or catch up. And so from your perspective, where are we at in the brokerage model today?
Well, the first thing is I'm so highly entertained and I have to stand back and just notice and observe, the blog posts and the articles and the emails and the videos about how the brokerage is broken, the model is broken. And what's interesting to note is firsthand down in the trenches for the last 12, 13 years, I have worked with from a startup brokerage firm to some of the top brokerage firms throughout North America. And the bottom line is this: it's not about the brokerage. It's not about the model. It's about the leader. And let me take you a little bit further into that, because I can show you every brand, every business model, every split, every revenue share, every profit share. Has there been an office in each one of those models that's failed? Of course there has. See, the model that works is the leadership model. And so from an inside out perspective, looking at the real estate industry, looking at the brokerage firm, that's what's critical. Second piece, though, taking this, because talking about is the brokerage model broken, then you take a look at splits and fees and all those types of things, lead generation. What's very interesting is I go to one of my clients' offices, and in his office, they went around during the sales meeting, and they asked people what the source of their business: door knocking, expired, for sale by owner. See, what's happening is we're so caught up in gadgets. The industry lacks context. The excuse leadership uses is they are independent contractors. And so we have to navigate around that. Well, the interesting thing to look at as we go back to where I started is we're in the human experience business, and people are afraid to go there. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs says this: next to food, water, and air, we want to belong. See, we want to be part of a tribe, a village, a community. And that's the piece that's missing. See, what leadership continues to do is to go out and find a new gadget, and they don't get adoption. And so they find another new gadget. And then the context of the relationship between broker and agent is consumer, business to consumer. They treat the agent like their customer. Well, here's what's interesting. The customer is always right. That's programmed in us. And so there's this constant spin cycle that's taking place instead of a partnership where the whole serves the part. And a focus, as we talk to the online world, is understanding we've moved into this scientific technology space. How do I transfer the human experience offline into the online world? That's what I'm seeing. And those that get that are getting it done. And the model's not broken, because we're talking about big profit margins. We're talking about per person productivity that's very high in organizations that get this.
It's so funny. And I love that you brought up context, because we have completely cut context out of our communication with consumers, unless it's a context where you're buying a home. Here you are, one in a band of a zillion, and we're sending the same message to those people instead of pulling the information out of them that is ready and waiting there to serve them. I mean, it's just such a game changer when you, instead of asking somebody, how many bedrooms and baths do you want, asking them, when you get that house with a view, how does that make you feel? What will your family do to enjoy that view? What is there in your history that makes views important to you? How does that change your game or your life? And those questions are not difficult, but I think it's just understanding that you have to have a framework with which to operate, right?
Absolutely. And it's really simple. It goes like this: the persona of today's internet empowered consumer drives the dialogue. The dialogue drives the story. The story drives the interaction and the relationship. And if we stay true to that principle, they'll choose us to be the solution. The consumer is done being talked at. They want a steward of the marketing process. It's that simple.
That's absolutely brilliant. And so the context is all about knowing their story before you start trying to, fix whatever you think might be wrong.
Right. We're so trained to convince people, to handle an objection, to use a script and a dialogue. And a script and a dialogue certainly comes into space when you're talking about the persona, the discovery of it. But it's ultimately about interacting with the consumer, listening, and then following the path that serves them, not me. We talked about this before we got on the call. It's about having an impact on a human being instead of impressing people. And we're in this, rah, rah, I did this and I did that. And accomplishments are fabulous. And it's nice to have something to shoot for. But we compete in this space of, I'm more powerful than that agent. I'm more powerful than that company. When agents look at, prospecting for buyers or interacting with buyers and sellers, That message is tired. That ship done sailed. See, the message of power is how much power do I have to help you? That's all that matters. And you know what's interesting? You don't have to sell when you go down that path. You are serving and accommodating the expectations of today's internet empowered consumer marketplace. And when you do it right, the marketing is almost free.
That is beautiful, beautiful stuff. And so it's not about your designations. It's not about the car you drive. It's not about what rank you are in the grand scheme of your brand. It's about what you can deliver to the consumer, and the consumer cares about what you can do for them, not what you've done for yourself.
They're so tired of being talked at and convinced. I mean, they're just over it. I'll share with you a great example and going down in when we get into relationship. One of the agents that I coach was having a challenge with a seller and says, what do I say? How do I do it? And I said this to him. And I don't think this is a script or dialogue that's used much in the industry or coached. Go back to him and say, I was wrong. What can I do to make it right? And he said, what? And I said, were you wrong? He said, yes. See, an apology, and you know, we get so attached to the outcome. And when we see the outcome isn't getting where we want it to do, we manipulate the process. And that doesn't feel good for anyone. He went back to the seller and said, okay. I said, listen, you hired me. I mean, you're going to do what I suggest? Yes. He says, John, the guy just said, you know something? No one has ever in my life come, and this is a retired executive, come to me taking full responsibility like that. And I am committed to this business relationship, and I will send you people over and over and over again. Now, that's not a magic sales script. It's called the relentless pursuit of the truth.
Love it.
And you win inside as a human being, and you win in the relationship. And if someone goes, hey, you're a jerk, you were wrong. Well, okay. All right. I'm clean. I move on.
Absolutely. Let it go. Just like Elsa, right?
Yes.
Frozen. Okay. So I'd like to go back to the brokerage situation, because we've got a couple of factors, or actually several factors. So part of it is the lack of training in contextual communication. And the other part seems to be this, as you mentioned earlier, the aspects of thinking people are contractors, so you cannot control them. And if it's your company, I'm not understanding why you can't control who's working in your company, whether they're contractors or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the one question, the first question again, the first part of it, we talked about controlling the contractors.
The first part is going back to the brokerage model and what's wrong with it, or what we're doing wrong in the industry. And I guess where I'm kind of leading up to is the recruitment side, because we've been doing this all wrong. We've been recruiting people that have experience, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but that have rankings. And then we become servants to them because they're bringing in the revenue, rather than working with the people who have the right demeanor, the right desire to do things effectively for the consumer, and training them appropriately and giving them support for that.
I'm with you. So the biggest myth that's represented out there is leaders think they can make a human being productive. And they tell people they can make them productive. And they're not liars. It's just not the truth, because they don't know. Okay. You cannot make a human being productive. All you can do is facilitate the best condition for a human being to choose. And I've seen it time and time again. See, what we do is we're in this buy-sell relationship with agents. Okay. We're trying to sell them stuff to you, sell them on the company, sell them a new gadget. And we want them to buy in. Well, agents don't like being sold stuff. Okay. And so right there's already fracture. And again, I go back to what I stated before. There is human programming that we all have, that the customer is always right. So we have this, what have you done for me lately type situation. And so people say, yeah, but they want a better split. They want this, they want that. And I said, really? Well, why don't you take a look at your current condition right now? How many of your agents right now today could go get a better split somewhere else?
Oh,
every
anywhere. And
single one of them. Yeah.
so we begin I mean, and I'm talking like I spent 12 years as an active agent.
Hmm.
And when I felt like the company that I started with wasn't supporting me, then I started looking at splits.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you what, it's like a job hopper.
Hmm.
Once the agent starts hopping, they will continue to hop
Sure, sure. Well,
if they're not getting the support they need.
right, they will, and I think what it comes back to is this: is see, agents leave a company based on the way they joined the company. See, I'll ask leaders this. Okay, great. See, here's that agent left you. That didn't feel good. It never feels good. Okay, but I want you to go back to how you interviewed them, because how people leave is how they joined. What expectations did you create for them? Did you tell them you were available all the time? Well, that's not the truth. Did you guarantee them they'd be productive, or did you have the strength as a leader to sit here and say, the first thing that I have a responsibility to do is to facilitate the best condition for you to choose productivity or choose not to? People, they're afraid to say that because they get in this sell mode. And so then they start getting along the path, and now it's the situation of, hey, I'm not productive. Remember, you told me you were going to help me be productive. And so, squashing the split fee revenue thing, the model thing, it's not the truth. It's just not the truth. How do I know? By the result. Because there's 100, there's 1,000, there's 15,000 people in your company right now that could walk across the street tomorrow. Why don't they? Identify why it is they don't. Look within and see what that relationship is with them, and then replicate it. But craft your whole process of attracting and then delivering, okay, to be consistent. And then when they get there, stop training them, because 99% of all training fails. I'll leave you with that one.
Ooh, so that brings me to my next question, which is, now we're talking about talking to the consumers in a contextual manner, knowing the story and delivering information based on their story. Shouldn't we be doing that as brokers and leaders with the agents who are truly our customers as a broker owner?
Well, let me come back to you, because here's the trap. And it's, they're not our customer. Customer puts us in a trap, because now we're in a buy-sell relationship. See, B2C, business to consumer, is buy-sell. I'm the broker. I'm constantly the consumer. Okay, what I've got to do is I've got to constantly be creating new retail product that you want to buy, so I have connectivity. That will never endure. See, there's never been enough money to keep a relationship together. Now, is there an investment return? Absolutely. The agent is investing a portion of their commissions in a partnership with the brokerage to get the highest return, and most of them will sit there in that space. They constantly will. The key piece is as we look at our responsibility to agents, here's what's interesting. I can't hold them accountable. They go hire coaches and stuff. Sure, they go outside, and coaches are great. I'm one. But you know what? A bulk of them go outside and take their commissions that they negotiate with you and what's left over and hire someone else, because they want accountability. But you keep telling me, broker owner, you can't hold them accountable. CRB Council did a survey many years ago, and it still stands true in my interaction with the agents and my interaction with leaders. One of the top 2 or 3 things people want from a leader is accountability. They don't know how. They don't know how. And this is where the underneath of it that I discovered from my mentor is, how do you facilitate tension with a human being that causes creativity versus a condition of stress? And the first thing, and a tip that I'd share with anyone, any leader that's watching this, eliminate the word why from your vocabulary as a leader. Why didn't you get the listing? Why? It's instant judgment.
Oh, yeah.
And so they think and they think they're holding someone accountable. No, they're not. They're condemning them, because then you need to understand that human beings, we were all raised on guilt.
And it's not leadership. Operating by guilt or making people feel defensive constantly is not leadership.
So it's creating, as we look back at those people, you see, how do we serve and support and show them love? I mean, that's love and support is what this whole thing's all about. Is we create a context. We ask them, how do you feel about accountability? What's your experience been with it? Where has it felt good? Where is it not? Are you open-minded to it? Because, the bottom line is this: if we don't have deadlines to check in and measure and just observe. See, accountability is observing or noticing without judgment. And so we have to have steps to go through. Did you have a commitment? Did you keep it? What got in the way? See, we're in a goal-oriented world. Goals are good ideas. The commitment's measured by the result. And so it's that. See, we have systems and strategies and process for how to generate a lead, how to incubate it. Where's your system and strategy and process for acknowledgement? One of the number one human needs. What is your system? Show me it as it goes, because it's not a machine, it's a human being. What is your system and strategy that you use that actually facilitates growth from a human being and accountability instead of shutting them down? See, this is why the brokerage model is broken, because leaders don't lead this way typically.
Well said. Well said. I could not have said that better myself, or if I had weeks to plan writing it out, couldn't have said it better. Such eloquent statements on the broken brokerage. Seriously, I feel like we could do multiple interviews. I know we will, and I'm super excited about that. But before we wrap up, we have the inevitable open the kimono question, which is, Jon, what do you attribute your success to, and how do you keep yourself held accountable?
Sure. You strike a chord. Grace and gratitude. Grace and gratitude. I operated purely out of ego. I wanted to impress everyone because what was back behind it was so empty. And I also did it with alcohol and things like that. I got sober 7 years ago, and I recognized that getting sober wasn't about quitting the alcohol. It was looking at myself. And I'm very grateful to walk this planet today based on where I was. And so what powers me is grace and gratitude, because it doesn't require a lot of energy, and self-love too, which isn't easy for any of us. It's challenging. I know that when I made some life choices, it was the highest form of self-love and a gratitude for life. So I continue with that. How do I hold myself accountable? I currently have 3 coaches that I speak with regularly, and spiritual guides, all different realms, and then a business coach. I have 4 coaches currently right now, because what I know, and people say, well, geez, Jon, friends have said, geez, Jon, you still do those things. You do those things. I sure do, but I don't do them as often as I used to. And when I do, I take responsibility. So it's a gratitude and my clear purpose to share with people a message of change that hopefully they're open to. And I have people around me in my life that keep me on my path. So
that's beautiful. And you do such a good job of, I don't think like anybody who sees you speak, you immediately draw in because you lead with that attitude of gratitude. And it just, it speaks volumes about who you are, the journey you've been on, and the experiences that you continue to give others. So we are very grateful for you, and appreciate your time, and hope that you will come back on the show very soon.
I'd love to. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.